when I traveled in India a couple of years ago. It was already 15 years ago. Oh my God, the time is passing. I was traveling after being in touch with meditation for 7 years and doing this Indian yoga and whatever. And I was, at that point, I was quite frustrated with all this mysticism around it. So I went to India and I traveled for almost half a year, and I went to visit all of the mystics that I knew about in the West, or their ashrams and so on. And I went there with a series of questions, which I asked all these people there, just to see how they're going to respond, and if I will find that it's genuine, then I will look deeper. And I was really frustrated, to be honest. Everybody I visited, there was something false, which I couldn't accept. I was just walking in hills, and I encountered a few people sitting there drinking tea close to a small house. They invited me to sit next to them, and I did. One of them came from Himalaya, and he was visiting, and he was a very funny man, like with a beard, a white dress, and very witty. And he kept asking very funny questions, which then changed into very difficult questions for me. He started asking me about my travel and why am I here? And I said, well, I'm looking for myself. And he was in Indian style, oh really? Where do you think you could be? where could you find yourself? And I said, no, I mean, it's allegorical, you know, I'm looking for a mirror so I can see myself. What kind of mirror? He was really funny. Whatever I said, he kind of made it a bit, what do you really mean? Do you understand what you're talking about? That was his way of asking questions. I was replying so many fascinating things, and he asked me, where did you learn all this? And I was, well, many, explain, of course. And most of it I learned from the Vedas, I said. He said, oh, really? And what are the Vedas? And I was like, I started explaining again very intricately. And then in the end, I finished it with a very nice phrase. You know, Vedas are the breath of God. He said, oh no, Vedas are the vomit of people. Vomit of people. But he said it with a jolly face, and he said, you know what I mean. You know, you don't hear the Vedas, you hear what people tell you about the Vedas. This is chewed and then vomited, and then you take it up and you think this is not Vedas, Vedas is different. And in the end he pointed out that I'm just a bag of information. And he said, and you know what happens when you take information away, nothing remains. So he was pointing to me that there is knowledge and there are information. Information is something that has nothing to do with me, and knowledge is something that is intricately related to me. And for me that was the biggest lesson of my life up to that point. I really realized I don't need to search for anything. It's more important to just accept what is there, and if I really do, then there's no suffering. Because the only reason we suffer is because we don't accept the reality we're living in. And if we are able to do that, you can be a rickshawala in Kolkata with cancer, lung cancer, and you can be happy. And you can be the richest man in the biggest flat in the beautiful island with 100 cars and whatever, and you can be the most miserable person on earth because you're not really accepting your reality. And that's what I learned from this man, and this really changed my perception of myself and the world, and that's how really searching in this sense stopped. On the other hand, because I'm a writer, and because I identify very closely, really intensely with this position of a writer, I cannot not sense what's happening in a society and not express it. And I have a difficulty writing about things which I didn't experience. Because socially, I am convinced, based on what I learned and what I experienced in communities around the world, that community is the basis of human society, not individual. So I said, if I'm not a part of a community, how can I really write from experience about it? How can I, say that other thing is better if I haven't experienced it? So that drove me to this position where we are now. That's what drove me here.